Images obviously play an important role when it comes to online content. Not only will they make your post look more visually interesting, but they can also work to add a little background to your story. Okay, so wherever possible, take your own photos. Okay, if you go out to interview someone, take a photo of them. If you're doing a story about a specific organisation or a specific building, whatever it is, take a photo yourself on a camera or on your mobile phone that you can use in your article. It will save you a lot of trouble in the long run. Okay, so we're going to have a look at adding some images to this article we've got here. Again, we're looking at our 8 interesting facts about Bournemouth article. So we're going to find a few images to put into this article. And I'm going to cover a few different ways you can find images. The actual process of inserting them will largely be the same, but we're just going to look at finding the images and then putting them into the article. Okay, so the first image I'm going to put in is for this fact here. House prices above national average. So I want to put in an image of a kind of for sale sign, preferably a for sale sign in Bournemouth. So I'm going to add a new line break here, and this is where I want to put in my image. Okay, so here I've got my own image that I've taken myself. Okay, a for sale sign in Bournemouth Centre. Okay, perfect image for this article. So if I now go, I've got my cursor placed where I want my image to go, and I click on my Add Media button. If I click on Upload Files, and I drag this file in, what happens is I get this error message, and it says that this image is too big for the website. So currently this image isn't set up to be used on the web. This image has come directly off my digital camera, and it's quite a large image, suitable for print but not suitable for web. I'm going to go back to my image, and I'm going to open it. And I'm going to open it in the default picture editor on a Mac, which is called Preview. So I'm just going to double click on it. Okay, that opens Preview for me. So this image is currently 7.4 megabytes in file size, which is too big for the web. I need it under 500 kilobytes for Buzz. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the actual dimensions of the image. So we can see it's almost 5,500 pixels wide. Again, that's too big for the web. Most monitors now will only show it at about 2,000 pixels wide. Okay, so I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go to Adjust Size. And I'm going to set the width to be 2,000 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to go to File, Export, and I want to see if I can get this image down under 500 kilobytes. So File, Export, and you should be able to see down here we've got our file size preview, and we've got a little slider. So if I start sliding this down, should be able to get it under 500 kilobytes. I usually leave a little bit of breathing room. Okay, so that's around 400 kilobytes. That should be fine. Okay, so I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to keep the name exactly the same. So I'm going to click Save. Okay, so now when I go back to Buzz, I can click on Select Files, find this file again, here it is, click on Open, and this time it uploads. Okay, so it's under my 500 kilobyte limit, so now it can be uploaded. Next thing we need to do is go through and fill in some of our attachment details here on the right. So here what we're going to fill in is alt text and caption. So alt text, a description of what that image is of. So again, this is useful when it comes to accessibility. It means that someone with a visual impairment knows what this image is of. And this is also important for search engines. So it tells a search engine what this image is of. Filling in this alt text can make your post more visible to search engines. Okay, so photo of for sale signs in Bournemouth. Okay, now I need to fill in my caption as well. So the caption is where your attribution goes. So what's this image of, and who took the picture? Okay, so for sale signs in Bournemouth Town Centre, and I'm going to use this divider to then put in the attribution of who took the image. Okay, if you've taken the image yourself, still make sure you credit the image appropriately. So if you took the photo, just put photo by and insert your name. Okay, so that's the attachment details done, but I need to now complete my display settings. So under here you've got alignment, link and size. So alignment, I'm going to center align it. I want this image to take up the full width from my post. So it doesn't really matter how I align it, but I am going to leave it as center aligned. Link to, I don't want this image to be a link at all, so I'm going to put link to none. And size, I'm going to leave it large. Okay, so now I'm going to click insert into post. And you should be able to see my image in the post. So I'm going to click save draft. And I'm going to click preview just to see how it looks. Okay, and if I scroll down, there you can see your image in the post with your caption and attribution underneath. Okay, so let's have a look at adding another image. So if I go back to my post, so I'm going to find a very generic stock photo for this fact about ice cream. Okay, there's over 2,000 ice cream served at Bournemouth Seafront every day. So I'm going to open up a new tab here. And I'm going to do a search for the term ice cream. And I'm going to go to my images tab in Google. Okay, so find royalty-free, copyright-free images. We go to tools, we go to usage rights, and we say labeled for reuse. Okay, so once you click on labeled for reuse, you should be able to find some images that you can take and use on Buzz. So let's have a quick look to see what we've got available here. Okay, so this website, for example, I know has a lot of good images on it. It's called Pexels.com. So if I click on this image and I go to Pexels, here we can see an image of ice cream. And all the images on Pexels are free to use. Okay, all photos on Pexels are free to use. Attribution is not required. You can modify the photos. Okay, that picture of ice cream was good, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I wanted a landscape image. So I'm going to do another search on Pexels. And I'm going to see if I can find something a bit more suitable. So again, I'm looking for a landscape image here, preferably. Okay, this one here will do. Okay, so I know I can use this image. It looks good, it's what I want to use. So now I just go to the free download option. Okay, on Pexels you can choose what size you want to download it. So medium should be fine for this article. We can see here it's about 1280 pixels wide. So I'm going to click download. Should start downloading. I'm going to show this in the Finder. Okay, so just so I can check it's under 500 kilobytes, and it is easily. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rename this image to give it a more suitable name. So I'm just going to call it ice cream cone. Something very simple. Now I'm going to go back to my post in Buzz. I'm going to add a line break where I want to add my image. I'm going to go to add media, upload files, select files. So this one's gone into my downloads. Find my image, select it, click on open. Okay, once it's open, same process as before. Fill in your alt text. Okay, fill in your caption. Hopefully your caption would be a bit more specific than mine one. It's very generic. I probably should have put in a more specific fact relating to Bournemouth in here. But the most important bit here is my attribution. So I'm going to put in photo from pexels.com, and then in brackets I'm going to put no attribution required. So that might seem like a strange thing to do. Obviously pexels.com has told us we don't have to attribute this image. Okay, and even in my caption I put photo from pexels.com, no attribution required. So the reason we're putting this in is just to let your lecturers know where you've got this image from and that you are okay to use it. If Buzz wasn't a website used in a university, if it was just a standard news website, we wouldn't need to do that. Because your work is being marked by lecturers, you want to make sure you put that in so your lecturers know you have a copyright-free image. Okay, so I'm going to click Insert into Post. Again, my image is added. One thing I didn't do there is I didn't check my attachment display settings. So if you want to go back, you can click on the image and click on this little pencil to edit and add display settings here. So I wanted my display settings to be exactly the same as the image I put in before. So center aligned, size large, link to none. Okay, it should use exactly the same settings as you had for your previous image, but just check them. It's good to have kind of some consistency in your post. Okay, so finally, I'm going to go and have a look for one final image, and we're going to have a look at a slightly different way of putting an image into your post. This is a little bit more complicated, but again, it gives you access to some better images. Okay, so specifically what I want here is I want a picture of George Best playing for AFC Bournemouth. Okay, this is a really nice fact, and obviously George Best is quite a recognisable person. So I want to find a picture of him in his AFC Bournemouth kit. So let's see what's available. Okay, so I'm going to click on Images. Okay, here we have some pictures of George Best. And again, I want to find a specific one of him playing for AFC Bournemouth. So again, we need to find a copyright-free image. So we're going to click on Tools, and we're going to go to Usage Rights, and we're going to go Labeled for Reuse. Okay, so what you'll find here is our options shrink down quite a lot. Okay, so before I clicked on that filter, we had lots of images that we could consider using. Here, what we're left with after we click on the Labeled for Reuse filter are images that are not very suitable at all. Okay, so what are we going to do? Is there anything we can do to find an image of George Best playing for AFC Bournemouth? Okay, so to find a really specific image like this, I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to search for Getty Images. So Getty Images, if you don't know, are kind of one of the largest suppliers of royalty-free images. Okay, they're used by some big websites, lots of newspapers, etc., to find images for articles. So if we click on Getty Images here, and we type in George Best AFC Bournemouth, hopefully we'll have some options. Okay, and here you can see we've got a few options. In particular, I like this black and white picture of him playing in the kit. It's a nice landscape image, suitable for use. Okay, if I click on this image, okay, what you can see here is it says purchase a license. How can I use this image? Small, medium, large. Okay, and this is the kind of cost that comes with this image. So this is an important example of why we don't use images that aren't copyright free. Okay, why I don't just take a screenshot of this image and put it into my post to use. Okay, so this is the type of bill you can expect to receive if you use a copyrighted image. So if you use an image that isn't specifically marked as okay to use, this is the kind of bill you could get. Okay, so obviously we don't want to pay £375 to use this image, but what we can do is we can use something called an embed code. So embed codes are really useful online. They're a way of taking content from one website and placing it on another website. And we should be able to see down here, we've got this embed button. So if I click on this button, okay, and in here I've got an embed code. So it's basically this code here. Doesn't have to make sense for you. You just need to understand that it's a piece of code. Okay? So it's the code element that's important here, because that's going to come into effect when we take it and paste it into our website in a minute. So I'm going to copy this code, and I'm going to go back to my Buzz post here. And basically what I want to do is I want to have this image sitting above this George Best fact here. So because this is a piece of code, I can't just take it and paste it into my visual editor. I need to take it and paste it into this text editor. Okay, that's where code goes. So if I click on the text editor now, Okay, things start to look a little bit more confusing because I'm now looking at the code for this post. But if I look at this here, I should be able to see the text I'm looking for. George played for AFC Bournemouth. George Best played for AFC Bournemouth. So if I put in a line break here, I'm going to put in a couple of line breaks, and I'm going to paste in my embed code here. You always want to have blank lines above and below your embed code. Give it a bit of space so we know it's an embed code. So as always when we put in an image, we want to click on Save Draft, and we want to click on Preview. Okay, so we should now have 3 new images added to this post. We've got our for sale sign here, a George Best picture here, and an ice cream picture here. Okay, so with the ice cream picture and the for sale picture, they both look very similar, same size, caption underneath is exactly the same. With this Getty Images picture, because it's embedded, we don't have the same control over it. We can't change the size of it, we can't change the caption, we can't really change anything about it. It sits on the page as it is, and the captions are included in the embed. So you don't have to add a caption underneath it. All the caption and all the copyright information is included in this embed code. So if I go back to my post after adding that code, I can go back to my visual editor, and although that George Best image doesn't show, just know it is there, it's fine. So that's adding images to a post. Okay, what's really important here, make sure it's under the 500 kilobyte size limit. Make sure you attribute the image appropriately.